Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Charlie Pankey, Sierra Right Now podcast. Happy Bomb Cyclone in California week. And to our weekly podcast, we're glad to have you here today. Wherever you're at, hope Sierra is within your future and you're hunkered down for the bomb cyclone that's hitting California right now, or the whole West Coast. It's all the rage and all the news. And so we're going to dig into a little bit of that today, but it's also kind of behind the scenes day here at Sierra Right Now Magazine and Sierra Right Now podcast. We're going to take you behind the scenes of our new winter edition that we just launched yesterday, and then get you some updates on the Sierra before the weekends coming up for Thanksgiving. And I'm glad you're here with us today. About 30 minutes of the show today. Just me again today, no guest, but we got lots to share with you anyway. Should be a great show, and we do hope that you can enjoy it, and we're glad you're here with us today. So, as always, we cannot do any of this without our sponsors. So we want to do a shout out real quick to Visit Carson Valley, our home base for all of our Sierra adventures. Here at the Carson Valley, the winds are blowing, I'd say 20 to 60 mile an hour gust. We got this bomb cyclone just hitting here, but we have no snow yet and no rain. So we're hunkered down here in the Carson Valley, a beautiful place to live and play. But here's a quick message from our sponsors. All right. Well, thanks again, Carson Valley. We do enjoy having them in our issue this week. We talk about coming from the Carson Valley to the winter playgrounds a lot, so you can catch that on our issue here. But the whole big news this week has been the bomb cyclone that's hitting the whole West Coast, Seattle, Washington, now California. The winds that have come with it, the rains that are hitting on the west side. And in the Sierra, we're obviously hoping for the snow impact. Now, I have not done any reporting on this yet. I think I got a little wiped out from it last year. The bomb cyclone was kind of a social media craze. And I kind of learned my lesson a little bit. Is like, we kind of careful of overhyping this in the Sierra because then people don't come. And then it doesn't turn out to be as big as it is. But then we do get some that are just huge, and it does turn out. So it's just like any other weather event. It's kind of a crapshoot, right? We could get 6 inches of rain, or we could get 6 feet of snow. And we kind of depend on where you're at. So I know that the snow is already starting to hit Northern California. Some of the Sierra peaks are already seeing snow, and they're closing down some highways. The 80s had some traffic problems already with semi trucks and stuff. So we do know there's traffic concerns. However, so I'm looking at my window right now. It does not look like the Tahoe is getting blasted by any means right now. It might still be on the west side. And like I said, on the Carson Valley side, all we're doing is seeing the wind events. Matter of fact, it's very warm wind when we go outside. Much colder last week. This week we got the Los Angeles warmer winds flowing up the east side of the Sierra. So it may get here this weekend. They're calling for Saturday snow and Sunday snow in the Sierra down, as I've seen, as low as 5,000 feet. But again, that could be anywhere from a couple inches, or it could be, I've seen up to 5 to 6 feet. Usually when you hear those bigger numbers, it's at the peaks, it's at the higher points. And then with this type of wind, that blows off the peaks at the same time it lands mid-mountain. So ski resorts are really hoping this one pays out. They've been making snow for about a month here, and all the ski resorts have opened up, I think, by today. I think today was the last resorts that hadn't opened up in our area that were planning to, at least. I think Diamond Peak may not still be open yet. Boreal opened today. Palisades open today. And I do believe Kirkwood's open. Bear Valley, I do not think is open yet. Mammoth did open, but like June Lake's, not open. So kind of the typical snowstorm and snow resort opening dates. But you can find your favorite mountain. Headling's definitely skiing. I didn't check on Sierra at Tahoe, so that would be another one to check out before you came up. But the bomb cyclones are a fun thing that's kind of hit the last couple of years over language on the social media front. It's a big weather pattern. They are unique. They do carry tons of wind and tons of moisture. Up in Oregon, you've been watching any of the coastal range there. They have the king tides in coming at the same time, so it's really causing quite a nightmare. And I imagine over on the west side of the range, the rain totals are going to be immense. I have a family on the Russian River. I know they're preparing for floods and stuff. So anyways, we'll get through this. We're praying for everybody. It is a big weather event. It's just like a hurricane almost. Not quite. We see some winds. 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts are a big deal out here. So it's not in the hundreds like a hurricane level, but it is kind of the West Coast version. So enough of that. Okay, so I can't even predict it for you. We may see it. I just want to say this: it's time for winter. It's time for snowshoeing and skiing and cross country skiing and snowmobiling. It's time to get out and play, and we're just waiting for the storm to pass and drop that load. And kind of similar to last year, what happened? We're hoping that we don't have that lull. If you remember last year, we got the early snow. We were out playing the snow this time of year last year. Then we got dry, and we stayed dry until I think almost into January. So around here, I think we're hoping mostly that this is the start of a La Nina year, and we can see snow from here through March would be awesome for us. Right, as soon as winter gets here, we like our snow, and we like the ski resorts being full and the tourists can come to the mountains. So for us at Sierra Rec Magazine, we wanted to kind of give you a little behind the scenes and what for, if you will, for our magazine. We launched our winter magazine edition yesterday, something we've been working on for a few months now. And our winter magazine is usually our snow edition. It usually talks about ski resorts, snowshoeing, anything winter recreation. If you know my story, I didn't start doing a lot of winter recreation until about 10, maybe 12 years ago. My mom bought me a pair of snowshoes, and I got to go out and try snowshoeing for the first time in the Sierra Nevada mountains, and I fell in love with it. I absolutely love getting out and just wandering the trees, but breaking trail and building paths where they don't ever have never existed. As a matter of fact, I tell a story at the very beginning, if you open the magazine up, about how it kind of frees me up, right? In the summertime, we follow trails, we go to lakes, rivers, and there's certain destinations you kind of stay on course. And even though I get off trail some, there is kind of a boundary to the way you explore a little bit in the summertime. Wintertime, I don't find that. I can't go as far in the wintertime. I don't have the stamina to get back, 15 miles on snowshoes. But I do have the freedom to kind of go wherever I want to safely in the trees, which gives me a little bit of freedom to kind of wander and explore that creative side of my outdoor personality, if you will. So I got a little bit of a video here we're going to pop up, and I'm going to try to pause this so I can talk about it a little bit. So a little behind the scenes. I'm a solo entrepreneur. I do all this by myself. I have a few tools, a few guest writers here and there. But this winter edition, I have no guest writers. So this is all my own thoughts, opinions, and information I can gather from people who send it out to me. I want to do a quick shout out to Anthony, who does First Track Productions in Tahoe. He's the one that gave me permission to run these photos. I've got a couple of his photos in addition. This is our cover edition of a snowboarder coming off one of the ledges above Sand Harbor, which is backcountry skiing. So we have a whole article on backcountry skiing in our section here. Section called In the Zone was kind of just my play on words for what these backcountry skiers are always talking about. Just finding that place where they're in their zen spot, if you will, in the mountains. And I understand that as a snowshoer and finding your comfort spot. So that's kind of our play on that. I thought it was a beautiful photo with the lake behind it. This is that winter blue that we get to see with the snow in the mountains and the skies kind of a cloudy blue, if you will. The photo in the background, if you don't recognize this is up in Hope Valley near Blue Lakes Highway. A couple of years ago, it was real deep snowpack. It was actually very hard to snowshoe, and it was so softy, it was easy to fall over in. But this is kind of my playground up here in the wintertime. But the really cool section about doing the snow pieces, that I'm not a skier, so it makes me do a little research. It makes me do a few more dives into the book. So hiking and backpacking is simple for me. I've been in so many places I can just talk about it without even going there sometimes. Wintertime, I really have to do my homework. And so one of the stories that we have, hold on, I'm going to sneeze here. Hold on for a minute. Woo! I'm not supposed to do that live on air, right? Anyways, yeah, I'm going to sneeze. Okay, when I sneeze here, hold the breath here. Anyway, so when I started doing the story, the USA ski team came out with broke a story just I guess a few weeks ago here. And I'm going to adjust my monitor here. Lindsey Vaughn is coming back to U.S. skiing. And Lindsey's one of my favorite all-time skiers. Her dominance in the sport was exciting as my kids were growing up. And her Olympic trials and tribulations and success rates were always something that our family followed and we enjoyed. So it was exciting news to see that she was going to make a comeback on the U.S. ski team. But obviously what hit me is that she's also coming back in an era where Michaela Schifrin is dominating the sport, setting records, broke all Lindsay's records in the U.S., and is really just setting an all-time standard for greatness in the winter sports. And I grew up in a culture where I've seen all the greats in every sport, right? Every sport you can pick besides maybe baseball. I've seen probably the best that ever played the game in them. From the Jerry Rices, the Michael Jordans, the Tiger Woods, Serena Williams. Name your sport, and I've probably seen their best. And U.S. women's skiing is one of those things where I don't watch a lot of skiing except for when it's Olympic time. But I follow it, women's side, a lot more than the men's side. And these two women, I think, are not only dominant in their sport and pretty unique in personality, but the other thing they do is they both have foundations where they're giving back to kids. And I'm sure they're not the only skiers. I'm sure there's a ton of them. They just caught my interest. So this story here, I wrote the two kindred spirits. I don't even know if they're friends. I don't even know if they like each other. I didn't do that much homework. I just wrote this from my perspective of two women that not only are great at what they do in skiing, but they're giving back to the next generation. That's what I think is kind of unique, is that we're living in a time where these two greats are shaping the future of their sport, which is, really pretty unique. After that story, we have several product guides and gear guides for the winter, obviously, in this edition coming up here. But then we take our chances and dive into backcountry skiing. And what I did here is I've spoken to many backcountry skiers in the area. I've done a lot of research on the websites for backcountry skiing tips and stuff. Anthony, again, at First Track Productions, is actually part of the Tahoe Backcountry Alliance. We've talked many times. I've had him on my podcast before. And we've talked about these different zones and parking challenges and just access points. So it really just gave me a way to creatively write about the zone and kind of that journey of solitude and adventure that backcountry skiers seek around here. And I really wrote from perspective, not from a local, but from what a visitor might need to know if they're coming to the area. Because one of the things backcountry skiers are dealing with around here is there's no place to park. Tahoe Backcountry Alliance is working with a lot of organizations trying to get parking areas cleared out faster, access to these backcountry spots easier. But ultimately, backcountry skiers have to work, and they have to work at their craft. They have to work and get up early. If you haven't lived here long enough, I tell a story in here. Everyone knows somebody who's up at 4 a.m. climbing a mountain so they can get that one Zen run in before they go to work in the morning, especially live in Tahoe area. So that's kind of our backcountry skiing zone. It's a great piece. All the pictures, again, from First Track Productions. We really appreciate their help in putting that together. And then kind of the piece that we started with in this issue is it's Palisades' 75th anniversary this year. And I've always been interested in Palisades. I live closer to Heavenly. Kirkwood's probably my home area, if you have my winter, recreation area. But Palisades is the Olympic Valley to me. This is their tie into the Olympics, and the World Champion Skiing has always brought me to Palisades. I've been there probably more than I've been to any resort in the area, taking pictures and different events. They're also extremely good at sending out content to me, which is very helpful. Being a solo entrepreneur and run this thing by myself, I need people to send me content. So if you're out there listening to the business, send me your stuff, man. It just helps me get it out there and tell the story better. But Palisades is a cool place. They've been going through a lot of changes, right? They had that gondola a couple of years back now where they got Alpine Meadows all tied in. They're all one big resort now. Of course, they're owned by Vail. Vail, some people love them, some people hate them. I don't know the story behind all that. They're just a big corporation, which is probably the reason why, right? But those battles they've been having in the Olympic Valley for expansion has been really kind of tedious in the area. There's plenty of people who are not excited about it. They think it's a big corporate giant coming in and changing their valley. But they got their plans approved, and they are going to be expanding. So this story is not about that. This story is about their 75-year history. They came in, identified this valley, quickly had the Olympics here, brought spotlight on Lake Tahoe in our region. And really, I think we have a lot to be thankful for Palisades and the journey that they've brought us over 75 years. Where we go in the future, I'll let you guys debate that. You can throw the comments down below and tell me how much you like them or hate them. I personally think the guys at Palisades are a great company to work with on the media side. I'm not a skier, but I would imagine it's got some great land to ski. And the valley itself is beautiful, so hopefully they can do it just as they grow. I know they're working with the tribes and stuff. So cool story on their 75th. Obviously, we cover every ski resort. in this edition. So I've got articles in Heavenly, Kirkwood, and Mammoth Mountain, and Mammoth. I just up to Mammoth. We're going to have them online here in December on our show. I've got Sugar Bowl and Diamond Peak and Sierra Tahoe, and every resort in the Sierra Nevada. I've tried to give a little bit of a write-up on, so some of them a little bit bigger than others. But the ski industry and ski season, that's what the visitors are coming for. They want to know where to go skiing and what's going on. So I'm obviously a snowshoer as we bring in the snowshoe and we bring this in. So great article in there, my 10 classic Tahoe snowshoe spots. Now, I will snowshoe, be honest, one of my favorite places to snowshoe is Lassen Volcanic National Park, way up north. It's about a 2.5 hour drive, maybe 3 hours, depending on the weather. But there's something about snowshoeing inside of a volcano on a bluebird day is spectacular. I actually snowshoed there one time in a complete blizzard, which was quite dangerous, but that's a memory bank I have. But for me, most of my snowshoeing and most of my winter adventure happens within 30 miles of my house. It happens in Hope Valley, or it happens up on the east side of Lake Tahoe, between Mount Rose Highway and maybe occasionally up in Truckee area. But so this is kind of my top 10 classic snowshoe spots. Of course, I'm not going to share them all right here, but I'm in the show. If you'll stick around for a little bit, I'll read you off a few of my spots here. But this article is really kind of more of one of your fun classic. Here's your top 10 lists, ideas. And this is where my sweet spot, right? I'm a snowshoer. I love getting out, taking people out moonlight snowshoeing in the wintertime. Even toying around with the idea of doing some guided snowshoe tours this year is a kind of another piece of our business, if you will. So if you think you might be interested in guided snowshoe tours in the Hope Valley, Lake Tahoe area, throw a comment down below. Help me out. But we love snowshoeing. This strapping on my MSRs and heading out for a couple hours in the snow. Like I said, I can't go near as far as I can when I'm hiking, but you can get to the tree line, you can walk through the trees, you can walk along rivers. There's just places you can go on snowshoes that you won't get to in the summertime because the bushes are too thick or too big, and you're walking over top of them this way. It's also just kind of serene. There's not as many people out. Lots of advantages to it. And it is hard work. I sweat up a storm, and I'm usually pretty tired when I'm done after a couple hours, but snowshoeing is quite beautiful. In Hope Valley in Alpine County, there's just no simpler way of having a good Saturday afternoon in the snow, basically, in my opinion. So that's kind of where I'm at with that edition. I don't know if I have any more here. Let me share, see what else I got in this little video clip here for you. Get one last thing. So this was our 16th edition of Sierra Rec Magazine. I want to tell the story about this real quick. I did not start as a magazine. I started as a blog. I've been doing Sierra Rec for a little over 10 years now. And we love just sharing our adventures. And most of it was hiking adventures. Most of it was just me getting out, seeing the Sierra for the first time as I moved here 17 years ago, and just sharing that story. And I had so many friends and people commenting about, how much they loved our adventures. They're living, through me basically in my adventures and me getting out and doing that stuff. But about 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, I had an advertiser kind of challenge me, say, hey, listen, we'd support you more if you actually had something substantial. And they wanted a magazine, but print magazines are too expensive, and nobody, small businesses around here, don't want to pay for them. So there's kind of a dicey proposition at times. So I started a flip magazine, a digital magazine. And that was our first edition. And I've come a long ways from there. My first edition was quite rough. I've had to learn how to design magazines and write for magazines and lay out a magazine, and then find my brand, if you will, in that too. So that's the kind of the business side of Sierra Rec Magazine. And we're now 16 issues in. We have this classic little library. There's an address right here, issues.sierrarecmagazine.com. You can just go there and find the bookcase, but there's a bookcase in this weird number. It gets you the bookcase. That's an archive of all our magazines. You can read them all for free today. There's no charge to read them. Actually, I did put charge on one. I'm testing out something, so I put an issue price on one. I apologize. Probably need to take that off. And I'm offering a subscription online. What you get with a subscription online is you get all 6 issues emailed to you first before they're public, and then you're just helping support us, right? So if you want to go right now, matter of fact, to subscriptions and just guarantee these are emailed to you, I've got a code here called Sierra Free. You can have it for free for the year. Just sign up at check stamp, put Sierra Free in the discount code box and get the whole magazine for free. We'll email it out to you 6 times a year. We do a January issue, a March issue, a May issue, a July issue, September, November. So that's our 6 issues, and we cover kind of all the seasons, and then a couple special things. Like our January issue is usually more of an explore issue, exploring the Sierra as a whole. Our March issue is my spring edition. We do summer in May. July issue is usually a special section of some special topic. Or last year was our 10th anniversary, and so we've had a lot of fun. I get a lot of good comments back on the magazine, and I really appreciate it if you just share it with your friends. I mean, honest with you. It's one of those things where I need organic growth. I don't have the budget to do a ton of marketing on it, but so it's just out there for people to read and enjoy, and the people who do enjoy it and give me comments back, I do appreciate. So that's where this podcast came from. Is that it's just the next step of business, right? It's the next idea of sharing the Sierra, sharing the stories of the Sierra, the people of the Sierra, the businesses, the events, etc. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I think this is our 38th episode of our podcast this year. We've been as consistent as we could be. I don't think we're going to make 52. But one of the things I have a question for you, if you're a listener of the show and you've made it this far, 20 minutes into the show, is as we look into next year, one of the things I've noticed in podcasting is that a lot of people do what I'm going to call programming a podcast, where they will just do a topic and they'll do 10 episodes that are on a certain topic. And then they'll do a whole different series of podcasts. And my podcast is a little more free flowing, right? We've been doing interviews. We're doing just me. We do some hiking trails. It's kind of free flowing, random information at the moment. And I started thinking about that. I probably could do some subject matter, segments where we do, 8 weeks of destinations, and we do a destination every week. Or maybe we do 10 weeks of trails and backpacking destinations in the spring, and talk about that, or permits like that. So let me know down below. Let me know what kind of podcast you like listening to. We really appreciate you checking out Sierra Now podcast. It's a new venture for us. We really kind of enjoy it. I don't even know if I'm even good at it, but I do enjoy getting out there and sharing this here. So this is kind of one of my outlets of doing that. So we do appreciate you joining the show. So that is our behind the scenes Sierra Rec magazine. As you know it, as you've seen it. We hope you've enjoyed it along the way. We've sure enjoyed bringing it to you over the last 3 years, especially. And as we continue with developing our brand and podcast this Sierra, we want to bring more stories to you. So like I said, I know I have Mammoth coming up. We talked to them. We're setting up a show so we can talk about Mammoth Lakes a little bit more, and Mammoth Mountain, get them on the podcast and share the area. I've had backpackers on this year. We've had authors on, and event coordinators. So we're always looking for more guests. You have a business in the area that you think would be great for the show, or maybe you're somebody who likes to take photography or hike or backpack and you have a story to tell. Love to connect with you, get you on the show, upcoming events that's next year, and we'll get it outlined that way. So, all right, I promised before I left today that I would share with you some of my favorite snowshoe destinations in this year. So let's talk about that. Let's say we get 5 feet of snow this week here, just outside the doors of the Carson Valley, which is where I live at. So in the Carson Valley, 20 minutes from me is Hope Valley. 20 minutes from me up the hill, I can get to Spooner Summit, or to Brodovich Summit or Park up there, what some people call North Tahoe Rim Trail parking lot, whatever you call it. In about 35 minutes, I can be up on Tahoe Meadows. Maybe 40 minutes up Tahoe Meadows, Chickadee Ridge, and then about an hour I can be on the other side of the lake. So let me talk about some of my favorite places that I snowshoe, and I'll do it 2 different ways. Okay, 1 if I'm going by myself, and 2 if I'm taking family and friends that are coming to the area. Okay, so I do both. If I'm heading out by myself for solitude, there's a couple places I love to go. 1, I love just going to Hope Valley, and before you get to Blue Lakes Highway, there's a couple pull-offs right alongside the road that the guys in plows, they plow out for you. And you can head up either into Scotts Lake area there, or on the other side, you can just go back by the river and walk towards the Blue Lakes Highway. And both those spots in Hope Valley are great tree-aligned destinations where you can get in the trees and kind of wind in and out of the meadow and the river valleys there, and have a really great day snowshoeing on flat ground. On the West side, there's a slope that goes up to Scotts Lake. You can climb that mountain as much as you want, or you can just stay along the rim there and just follow it through the meadows, different spots. I find it the most peaceful area to go snowshoeing for the day. It's really quiet. You do have some highway traffic that you hear on, especially if you stay on the west side of it. But the closer you get to the river and fall down there, it kind of disappears out there. Fantastic place to just go. Hardly ever see anybody. Occasionally you'll see a snowmobiler on the east side. Most of the time they stay in the valley or up in Blue Meadow or Blue Lakes Highway meadows. So you're pretty good there. So that's probably my go-to for the Carson Valley. I'm going snowshoeing today. The next place I go up to is right above there. It's on Luther Pass. So I'll take 89 out of Hope Valley, right on top of Luther Pass. There's a little parking area, very small. Only 4 or 5 cars can park there. But it's an old highway right there that comes into the California Trail that comes up from Hope Valley. And from there, you can get into backcountry skiing country. So I think they call that Waterhouse Peak right there. But there's a couple trails that people know back there. They go back there on a regular basis. So you'll see tracks that go off. There's a little bit of a vista point over Hope Valley that you can find back there. I actually like going down the road and just following the California Trail down to Hope Valley and then back up the mountain. A little bit of a workout, but it's a peaceful area. Again, hardly anybody ever back there. I do make my own course through there. I take some family and friends there once in a while and kind of make my own course. I know a back course that goes behind Big Meadow up there and cut back to the car. So it's a nice little loop. So that's another great place to go snowshoeing in the area. And the other place I go to just on a whim, this one's a little busier, but Red Lakes. Red Lakes is always going to have people around. I crossed the lake last year with snowshoes. I will not do that again. That freaked me out. I do not like being on top of a big body of water. So if that's your thing, go for it. But the first time I saw water underneath one of my snow tracks, man, I was certain that was into me. So if for my kids watching this, you can laugh at me all you want. I'm not doing it again. So I'll stay on the edge. But I do love hiking up the cross country skier or the downhill skiers, backcountry skiers. They take a route out of the parking lot and they go up the mountain around to Elephant Peak around the backside. And so following them and then making my own loops off of that trail is a lot of fun. It's a great place to go. You usually get some great deep powder back there, which is a lot of fun to trounce around in country-wise. Now, last year also on the west side of Lake Tahoe, I found Esberg State Park. If you're just looking for a great place to also again disappear, lots of different options on trails. You can actually hike all the way back to the old cross-country Olympic state area back there. They have a zone back there for the old Olympics. So you can go through the campground and hike back there. A lot of people do the other side of the lake. They'll go down the park and go by the water when there's lots of snow down by the lake. So it's just a beautiful area on that side as well. Now, if I have family and friends who want to go do something special, I will jump into a lot more crowded areas. I will go to a lot of areas where there's people, but I know it's going to be a dynamite snowshoe adventure. Chickadee Ridge, obviously cannot go wrong at Tahoe Meadows. Chickadee Ridge, there's lots of people there. Take your birdseed, though. It's magical. I have been there before, but there's only a couple of us. My wife and I have been there. We didn't see a single soul after we left the car. It was just us and the birds and just, snow everywhere. It was beautiful. I go up there in storms. I go up there on clear blue days. It's just a great place to go snowshoe, but you're going to have people, lots of people. The other place is Spooner Summit. Lots of people up there as well. My trick at Spooner Summit, my tip for Spooner Summit, follow the Tahoe Rim Trail out of Spooner Summit. Don't go down the lake. Follow it up around, I'm going to say the first mountain. And then the trail's going to kind of probably disappear because only a few people go back there. But there's a little gully that if you head up through the gully, as you get around this corner, it's pretty easy to see. As you come around, all of a sudden the mountain opens up. There's this little gully. Follow it up and just keep going up. It's a slight climb for a while, and then all of a sudden you're going to get this little vista point. You'll know where you're at. And from there, what's really cool is to actually backtrack over the mountain. So you got these big, huge Jeffrey pines up there. It's really pretty in there. It's wide open. And you just kind of follow the train of the mountain back up on the slope and down back to the parking area down off the slope. Did it last year. Probably one of my favorite routes I've ever done. And I also wonder why the backcountry skiers aren't back there, because they've got great powder, great, I don't know, 200, 300 foot drop zones. You could do runs all day back there all by yourself, probably. Maybe you guys are looking for bigger. I don't know. But it looks like a great place to go skiing too, or snowboarding. But I've been back there a couple times. I'm usually one breaking trail back there. So you've been back there and found a trail, I probably broke it. And then I don't know what happens to it after that. But great place to take family and friends. It's safe. Lots of different options and variety you can do. You can also go to the other side of Spooner and go up the mountain. A lot more work, but the vistas on top are beautiful. You can actually get some spots where you can see the lake up there. So some great opportunities at Spooner Summit for friends and family. Now, friends and family are always asking me, can we go moonlight snowshoeing? That's one of our favorite things to do. And if I'm going to go moonlight showing, I go back to Hope Valley. But what we do in Hope Valley is we go past Blue Lakes Highway. I'll take that back. I go, Blue Lakes Highway is a real easy spot, but you need a snow park permit. And this year, I hear they're going to be really enforcing those this year. So pay attention to your snow park permits, okay, if you're going to park there. But that is a great place and safe place to meet people and park. But if you go a little further up the road, I don't remember what the valley's called. There's a meadow before you get to the little barn house everybody takes pictures of in the fall. And everybody knows that, that place where all the trees are turned, and there's a little barn house. Everybody takes pictures there. Before you get to there, there's a little valley, and there's parking site, lots kind of parking wide spots on both sides of the road. On the west side of the road, that's where the skiers park who are going up to Crater Lake and Reds Peak. They're doing that climb with their skis. For snowshoers and cross-country skis across the other way, the meadow is fantastic. And that meadow is a great place to do moonlight snowshoeing. It's very pretty back there. There are wildlife in the area. We have seen bear out there in the middle of winter. But it's a great place to see the glow off of Stevens Peak. Stevens Peak across the road. So it's one of the things where you get out there, where you go to Hope Valley, and you've got a great spot to go moonlight snowing there too. Blue Lake Highway, also a great spot for moonlight snowshoeing. But my favorite probably is that one right across from Stevens Peak, because of the glow back on Stevens Peak. The stars open up. That meadow is really fun to hike in on a moonlight snowshoe. So that's kind of my favorite snowshoeing things. A few more on the list. I'm not going to share everything. Go to the magazine, check them all out. But we do hope that you've enjoyed this issue. It's kind of behind the scenes, who we are, what we're doing, and why we're doing it. We hope we'll be here next week. We'll probably skip next week for Thanksgiving weekend, unless I'm just getting bored and want to say happy Thanksgiving. But we'll bring in another show as soon as we can. Again, like I said, we have a few guests filling up the pipeline, so we'll get some more guests on here for us. But other than that, have a great, safe travels wherever you're at. This bomb cyclone is hitting here. Winds in Carson Valley are picking up. Glad we made it through the show without power going out, matter of fact. And I hope you have a great, safe weekend wherever you're at. I hope the Sierra is in your future. If you're a skier, the mountain resorts are open, and they're ready to play. Have a good day.